A year and a half on, you don't really need an introduction to this car, so I'll keep it brief. It's the Celerio, yet another hatchback crammed into Maruti's already crowded lineup between the smaller Altos and the bigger Swift. Trouble is, it never quite sold as well as Maruti perhaps would have liked, with its similarly priced sibling, the WagonR, consistently outselling it. Now, however, there is a reason for you to sit up and take notice of the Celerio once again, and that's because it's available with a diesel engine. Before we go any further though, it's important to stress how important this engine is. At just 2 cylinders and 793cc, it's the smallest diesel engine you can buy today. It's also the first diesel ever developed in-house by Suzuki in the company's 106-year history, and it will eventually spawn a whole family of new, bigger engines. With a starting price of 4.65 lakh rupees, the Celerio is the cheapest diesel car in India too, but most of all, at an ARAI rated 27.62 km per litre, Maruti claims it is the country's most fuel-efficient car. So there's a lot riding on this motor and this car. First impressions, however, are not great. Turn the key and it wheezes slowly to life, settling down to a very rattly idle, particularly loud from outside the car. Let's hope things settle down once we're on the move. The good news is that the vibrations and the noise that you hear at idle do sort of smoothen out once you get the car warmed up and once you get it going. After about 1800 RPM, things smoothen out considerably. However, get past 3800 RPM and the noise and the vibration comes back with a vengeance. Actually, it's a similar story when it comes to the way this car drives. 1800 RPM is also about where the turbocharger kicks in. Before this, it feels a bit sluggish and a little bit jerky as well. Get past 1800 RPM and then you have to find the sweet spot where all this engine's torque lies. While this tiny little engine may make a meager 47 bhp, it's the torque figure of 12.7 kgm that really matters. It's more than what you get in the petrol Celerio. And because the car weighs just 900 kilograms, that torque doesn't have a lot to shift around. Keeping it in the mid-range is easier said than done because this car has a very narrow power band. It will pull a bit more beyond 3500 RPM, but get closer to 4000 RPM and power just disappears completely. It requires you to shift gears a lot, and then you realize that the gear shift, though very accurate, is a bit on the firm side. The hydraulic clutch, however, is nice and light, which is really helpful. Performance, as you might expect, isn't great either. It takes a full 22.6 seconds to sprint to 100 km an hour, and it isn't all that snappy when you want to make a hasty overtaking maneuver either. But then, that's not what this engine is about, is it? No, it's all about the fuel economy, and on this front, Maruti has really delivered big time. In our real-world tests with traffic, bad roads and air conditioning factored in, it managed an astonishing 16.7 km per litre in the city and 18.8 km per litre overall. Those are the best figures we've ever achieved at Autocar India. Now, the Celerio was always going to be pretty good on ride and handling, as it was with the petrol car. Now, however, the front suspension has been stiffened up a little bit for this diesel car, and yes, you can feel the extra stiffness maybe when you crest a sharp speed breaker a little too fast. That aside, it's still a very compliant and secure feeling car. The steering, however, like most modern Marutis, the Ciaz included, feels numb and lifeless at center, and rather disconcertingly, it won't self-center freely after a corner. It is nice and light though. In just about every other way, this car is identical to the petrol Celerio. The somewhat ordinary styling inside and out is the same, and the equipment list on this ZDI optional variant mirrors the ZXi optional variant. You get a decent amount of kit including Bluetooth, driver seat height adjustment, alloy wheels, steering mounted controls, electric mirror adjustment, 2 airbags and ABS. You also get the same spacious and practical cabin. There's a good amount of storage spots around the cabin, the seats are comfy, there's ample space for 4, and the 235-litre boot is decently sized too. So there you have it, the Maruti Celerio diesel. Even in our real-world tests, it's easily the most fuel-efficient car in India, especially if you drive it in the city. Bear in mind though that does come at a cost, and that is refinement and performance, neither of which are very good. The other issue is that this engine will likely find its way into smaller, more affordable Marutis, like the WagonR and maybe even the Alto. So will the Celerio still be as interesting then? Well, when you factor in its core strengths of space, practicality, comfort, and of course Maruti's legendary hassle-free ownership experience, combine that with that incredible economy, and we think that's something buyers will be really excited about.